Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me again for another astrology reading. Today, we're going to be doing a chart read on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I am obsessed with this person. If you don't know who she is, her mother faked all of her medical issues. So her mother had Munchausen's by proxy, or I guess the situation's called Munchausen's by proxy. So the definition of Munchausen by proxy is a psychological disorder marked by attention-seeking behavior by a caregiver through those who are in their care. And so it has to do with faking medical records and things like that in order to support this narrative that this person is sicker and to basically get attention and sympathy from others. All started like when she was a baby. Her mother said that Gypsy was had sleep apnea, and it cascaded from her mother saying that she has leukemia and muscular dystrophy and needing feeding tubes, needing wheelchairs. Mind you, she never needed a wheelchair or feeding tube. So this was like, and then she also went on to say that she had vision issues and things like that. She had multiple surgeries. She got her salivary gland removed. I don't know who's these doctors like signing off on this, but the thing is that the mother would basically the whole idea is that she's forging medical documents to basically be able to get these things done. This is weird. I'm reading this right now. It says she went through multiple surgeries, including procedures on her eyes. Yikes. And removal of her salivary gland. And her salivary gland is really important to move things out and to help keep things from like just staying stagnant in your mouth. And so because of that, she ended up having teeth rot. And because of that, she had to get her teeth removed. So, and then obviously the mother claimed she had cancer and all that stuff. And so it's just really just like sad, like attention seeking behavior for what, and ruined poor Gypsy's life. They were able to sign up and get supported by Habitat for Humanity and get a house with a pink house with a wheelchair ramp. Her mom, she started lying about her age eventually because she wanted her to stay a child forever. And so basically she said, she forged her birth certificate. So I hope that birth certificate that we're going to look at, or the birth time and information we're looking at today, is the right one, because that would be no problem for this chart read. But I think I got the right one. But yeah, main point, she was lied to about her age, and so she was like 19 before she knew that she was even old enough to be able to have her own agents. So she went to, basically she met a guy at a science fiction conference, and basically they hit it off, and pretty much she created a plan to trying to create an escape, to get herself out of the situation. But yeah, she was pretty much not allowed to leave the house without a wheelchair and all of that. So, fast forward, she ends up killing her mother. And again, with all these stories, you can always go watch a Hulu video or something like that to get a better perspective, a ton of YouTubers do great true crime videos. Like I honestly don't want to be even in that space in that regard. Like, I just want to do astrology and like look at things in the astrology from an astrological perspective. But yeah, there's tons of videos out there on YouTube, but I just wanted to give you guys a taste of who she is. So let's get into the chart. Okay, so we got another Cancer. We got another Cancer South Node, y'all. We got another Cancer South Node. And I hate to have done this back to back, but yes, this is what we're gonna do. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born on July 27th, 1991 at 11:12 a.m. in Raceland, Louisiana. She was born in pretty much the middle of summer, which makes her her sun sign, Leo. And her moon sign, Aquarius. So she's effectively was born on a full moon. And she's a Libra rising. The sun, again, is your ego, your identity, how you express yourself in this lifetime. and it's in Leo. Leo is, I mean, pretty much the sun is at home in Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. And when you think about the sun, think about the things that make it the sun. It provides warmth, it's luminescent, and it pulls things to itself. There's a gravitational pull with the sun. All planets and even asteroids and, you know, all this stuff are in the gravity of the sun. The sun is huge as a marker of your identity, and then as a person whose sun is in the sign, and a sign that is ruled by the sun. So being seen, being just a magnetic person, being very, you know, happy, being known as someone who is, you know, optimistic and just life is good, like feels good. Like celebrities are usually have some Leo and you know, strong Leo placements, especially the ones that are just famous for being famous. Like you'll have a lot of Leo energy associated to it, almost that they're destined to be seen. That's a big thing about Leo, is Leo wants to be seen. Okay, like you're not hiding the sun. I mean, the clouds, you know, cover it, but for the most part, the sun's still peeking through. Like, you know what I mean? Like the sun still has its impact even when it's cloudy. So it wants to be seen. You know, I think about a child, and that's something I read is it sticks with me, of like another archetype of Leo is a child. It's like associated with childhood, and like how a personality of a child can be like, mommy, see me, see me, see me, you know, like, look what I can do, look what I can do, look what I can do. So that's very Leo. That's what they strive for. Of the fire signs, because fire tends to be this like active energy and go and do things. They are the type that are very cool with like enjoying the moment. You know what I mean? Out of all the fire signs, they are good at just like blissing out and enjoying and being like, ugh, I'm just shining. You know, I'm shining, guys. So conjunct the sun is Chiron. And we talked about Chiron in our last video about being the wound that we carry, the pain of being known. And so Gypsy, and again, we're doing the degree analysis as well, where it's 0 degrees. The degrees in which you your Chiron, or where your Chiron is, I play with that as the year in which the wound was created. And poor Gypsy has it at 0 degrees. So Gypsy's wound of her vitality and like the way she is seen in the world was developed at like pretty much when she was infant, of like her mother starting this journey of, you know, starting to say, oh, my baby's not sleeping, she has sleep apnea or whatever, is not breathing, and she has sleep apnea, and she was only like, what, 18 months, very young. So the wounding starts early. She is known, she is seen because of her pain and the things that the pain that was created in her life, right? And the status that she gets is through her wounding. So her identity and who she is tied to her wounding, and literally how she's seen as someone who's wounded, right? In a public space, that's in the 10th house. That's how she interfaces, how her image, what's the image that she projects into society and into public spaces. Her identity is closely tied to her wounding. I do think that it is interesting that the opposition to Saturn, you know, her ability to express herself is going to be inhibited with Saturn opposing her sun. Because Saturn is the planet of, you know, restrictions and boundaries. And I mean, it's like responsible energy. Like, oh, I got to do the thing. So then also, again, like, not only is she actually being restricted physically, but she's basically been burdened with the responsibility of being this person that is seen as who's seen as someone who's sick, right? But they're not. And this is a responsibility, this is a duty that she has publicly to fulfill. Again, she doesn't know she doesn't have to, but this is it. This is it. And it's a level of confinement and, again, restriction on her vitality and her expressing herself. It's very sad. Let's go about her rising sign. So she's a Libra rising. I'm a Libra rising. I mean, Libras are very good at reading the room and giving people what they want. I mean, I think Britney Spears is a Libra rising. Libra risings tend to have a really complex relationship with being everything for everyone. And because they care about relating with people so much, that there is this problem that tends to happen where they can try to be everything for everyone. And so in this case, like, you could see that I'm sure she loved her mother. I'm sure that there was elements of wanting to play along, Also, I'm sure she did the pony show really well too. I bet she made people, she's, again, Libras are good at reading the room. So they're going to be very charismatic and diplomatic and say the things that make people laugh, and like they're good at that. Kind of plays into how she was seen. I had never really watched any like actual press stuff on her, but from what I'm getting, from what I know, I think she had like a little bit of a personality that people liked, that made her stand apart from a lot of the other kids that were in her situation, Make-A-Wish kids and stuff like that. I think there was a little bit more there, and maybe her mother was the one pushing a lot of it. So South Node, again, is an indicator of who you were and the challenges and situations in your past life. If you don't believe in past lives, I say, okay, let's talk about karmic wounding from ancestors passed on. If my mother was an alcoholic and her mother was an alcoholic, then my karmic journey would probably have to be around navigating substances and abuse. So that's how you would deal with that. So if you don't want to do past lives and all that stuff, you can also just address that. And again, it works very well. It still matters because at the end of the day, you come into this life with a certain affinity and disposition against or for certain things, and it's seen through your South Node. So your South Node her South Node in Cancer, again, unfinished karmic issues, unresolved issues, dealing with the parental figure and parenting, or dealing with mothers, right? And she could have been someone who had challenges, or came into this life with challenges that have to do with, again, the mother figure and the familial unit. And again, we know this, right? Like from Jump, with the Chiron and 0 degrees from Jump Street, she was going to have issues. So opposing her South Node, you have Uranus and Neptune. Uranus being the planet of disruption and it can't chaos per se for chaos sake. I mean, it's considered the liberator. It's the rebel. It's it's the exile. The challenges that this person had could have been due to disruptions in the home space. Also, you have Neptune as well. You have disruptions and blockages in terms of things that have to do with Neptune. So again, abuse, like substance abuse can be at play. Escapist tendencies can be at play here. So wanting more than what is really available to you in a past life. So she comes into this lifetime kind of having a taste against, or having to wrestle with the issues of maybe being different in terms of having a different family, like maybe having a family that is a little bit has issues with substance abuse. And then her North Node, but all those things can be opportunities for her to be liberated in this lifetime if she so chooses to deal with them appropriately. So Uranus, I'm sorry, not Uranus. So we look at the ruler of Cancer, right? And Cancer, the ruler of Cancer is the moon. The moon is, again, usually associated with emotions and intuition and, the ebbs and flows of emotions, like this is emotions because, again, like, the moon moves through the signs so quickly that there's, ups and downs, right? And, but it also represents how you feel safe and how you feel comfortable and how you deal with difficult times. How do you regenerate and restore yourself? I mean, moon comes out at night. So it's a sign, as a planet or a luminary that represents restorative work. And so you have the moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is a social sign, but of the social signs, it's the most aloof and distant. It's the colder one. It's the slightly disassociated one. And usually, the energy is of a out of the box type of energy. I say all those archetypes and those examples because also the moon represents the mother. And so when you can explain and break down Uranus, or I'm sorry, Aquarian energy, you can also describe the mother. So the mother can have a disassociation or a dissociative personality. The mother could also be, I mean, in this case, and I'm going to tell you why it's not the best case scenario. I'll tell you in a bit, but the mother is different. She's out of not the normal mother that you would want, right? She's eccentric and she's different, differently different. If you guys like the everyone's creative, everybody's so creative. Like, I love when she says differently different. Like, I think it's hilarious. But anyway, and so Aquarius can also mean that there's a disassociative energy to this maternal, her mother's approach to nurturing. So I know that also her mother, it's probably not going to be the positive approach to it, because if you look at the moon, and again, I love Luna and I have to do like something for Luna. Like, I just feel like if I'm going to be back on YouTube, I gotta do something with Luna. So the moon is squaring Pluto in Scorpio. So again, Pluto, basically it's applying energy of control and power dynamics. So Pluto is a very intense planet. High vibration, it breaks down so that it can rebuild, very much like a what is it called? Like not fertilizer, but like a phoenix, like from the ashes type of thing, or like God, what is it? It's not like compost, right? Like going through the muck and the difficult situations so that like you can grow beautiful flowers. That is kind of that's what Pluto does and promises, but you have to be able to stick with it. That's a high vibration. Low vibration approach to it is that there is just control and psychological problems related to the mother. And we already know that, right? Like, that's already fact. So I'm just pointing out something that is quite evident, but it's nice to see it on the chart, right? And I think whenever you have Uranus or Aquarius in a negative light, there is an element of like the types of bad things that a person who has Aquarius energy, and I'm talking dark-sided Aquarians, are just particularly on the shocking side. Like they are, it's the types of atrocities, and I would say that they would like the person who has Aquarian energy and they're dark-sided and they're like not working on their karmic journey at all, and they are functionally criminals. The types of crimes they do are just exceptional. Like they're just very fast. They're just differently different. And what the mother, Dee Dee, which I haven't brought her name up a lot, but what the mother did here was exceptional. I can't even imagine the amount and level of commitment to lying and forgery that this woman had in order to keep the ruse that she had going for so long. Like it's just insane. Another thing that I wanted to bring in here was that you have her Jupiter in Leo opposing her moon. I mean, you know, the moon also can be associated with compulsions and rhythms and like tics and things like that. And Jupiter is a planet of abundance and more is more, right? Like, let's do more. In a loud sign like Leo. So, in my again, adding another layer to the mother archetype of like doing really just horrible atrocities for the purpose of, you know, and adding in the control and the manipulation, psychological abuse potentially. You also have this element of wanting more visibility, wanting, you know, not knowing when enough is enough. And now I think about it, she was a hoarder pretty much. Eventually, toward the end of this whole thing, she started hoarding stuffed animals and all these like free things that she got through all these charities. And so that's what I see sometimes with that is like a lot. It's like more is more. Like I want more. I want to. You know. And let me see what else is on here. Yeah. Yeah. And so that Jupiter, that more is more, is making things difficult for Gypsy to be able to connect with her North Node and to connect with her purpose. So her mother's journey and her mother's demands are making it kind of difficult for her to find her path. Quincunxes don't see each other, right? So it's a quincunx between the Jupiter and the North Node. And so it really does make it difficult for her to go find on her path because her mother's energy is so strong here. Okay, really quick. I want to figure out when's her I don't know when she killed her mom. Okay, I'm gonna go find out when she killed her mom. So it seems like she's 23 when she did that. You can't make this up, bro. You can't make this up. She was about to exit her 23rd year, which puts her on her 12th house year. 12th house year again is the year of, I mean, honestly, I'm in my 12th house year right now. I'm gonna do a whole video on that because that's interesting experience, especially for me. And I don't even know if I want to share everything that's going on, but it is a time of like retreat, because usually it's a time of retreat because there's going to be like, you're going to come out and introduce yourself to the world. And in your first house year. So yeah, it's a time of retreat and reflection, really. The 12th house is associated again to self-undoing, addiction. So any type and abuse, so, and removing yourself from society. So regarding, okay, if you're removing yourself from society for, the hospital, you're removing yourself from society for prison, And in this case, she killed her mother when she was still in her 12th house year, kind of cuspy into going into her first house year. So, and then she definitely became known for that. But even if you were to take the ruler of her first house year, and she became famous from what happened to her, her ruler of Libra, her first house is Libra. That ruler is Venus, and Venus is in Virgo, which is in her 12th house. So it ends up putting her still back into seclusion. So yeah, Saturn and Aquarius, the sense of, Saturn being a planet of responsibility and duty and hard work and practical effort, building something brick by brick for the betterment of others, right? In Aquarius, high vibration, of course, is, about for the betterment of others and everyone involved. So you have that, and it's fascinating that it's separate from, how she serves, her ability to use her voice and like attract people and the things that she was like able to attract, and her true way of serving people was actually almost in a slave, like it was not in a space of true serving because of altruistic desire, but it was pretty much she was doing this thing that had a practical use and it helped other people, right? Because she was an advocate for other children who were going through the things that she was going through, but it's separate from her role as a servant and the person that is actually doing the work. It seems like that's disconnected, and that's what I get from that. This quincunx here, and yeah, and her inability to use her voice. I mean, that her voice was definitely inhibited. Okay, I think that this wraps up our video for today. I feel really bad for her. Like this was just not a good, it was just not a good card she was dealt, And so I guess right now she has to figure out how she can come to terms with in this lifetime. Now she needs to figure out how she's going to deal with redeeming herself when it comes to her karma with being of the mother and of parenting and all that stuff. Obviously, again, with these criminal charts, these charts of people who've committed crimes, one can say that if their karmic test was at one event, they failed it, right? But who's to know that she still has time to work on this in this lifetime? I mean, there's definitely markers for her if she could advocate, create, develop her own voice, find her voice to help others and to have a job, or some way of bringing people together in this way that's kind of like alchemizing the bad stuff that happened to her through like this big, project or something like that. Maybe that's something she could do, but it's still really hard because she killed her mom, like, and she's got a Cancer South node, and she didn't, like, it just seems like one of those like tests, and it seemed like it didn't work out. Okay, I'm officially done. I'm out. Okay, well, make sure to subscribe, please, if you want more content like this. And if you want a reading with me, you can always book it on fourthhouselb.com. And I hope that you love this video. And again, if you have any ideas or any people that you want to do chart reads on, I love these. So it's fun to look at all these different charts and explore them. And again, I can't get so deep into them because honestly, these charts could take 2 hours if I really wanted to, 2, 3, 4 hours if I wanted. You enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye.